Picture this: twisted metal, the smell of smoke, just pure chaos. A major disaster has just happened, and right into the middle of it all, first responders arrive. So how do they take this totally overwhelming, life-threatening situation and turn it into a controlled, life-saving operation? Well, it's not magic, that's for sure. It's a system. And today, we're going to break down exactly how they do it. Okay, let's just put you right there, in the driver's seat. You are the first trained person on scene. You've got people who are hurt, some are screaming, some are eerily silent. Your gut instinct, your human instinct is to just rush to the first person you see. But you know what? That's the first mistake you absolutely cannot afford to make. So where do you start? What's the real first step? Before you can help a single person, you have to look at the entire scene. It's all about taking that crucial step back, taking a breath, and really figuring out what you're walking into. Because in all of this chaos, your first priority isn't the victims, it's you. This right here is the absolute golden rule of emergency response. And I know, it feels totally counterintuitive, but it's just pure logic. If you get injured by some unseen danger, leaking fuel or an unstable car, you not only can't help the actual victims, you've just become one yourself. You're now part of the problem. So scene safety comes first, always. So one of the biggest threats you're looking for is hazmat, or hazardous materials. And we're not just talking about big chemical spills you see in movies. It could be something as common as gasoline from a ruptured tank, or maybe industrial chemicals in the back of a truck. These substances can take a really bad situation and make it catastrophically worse in a heartbeat. So how in the world do you know what you're dealing with from a safe distance? Well, the U.S. Department of Transportation requires any vehicle carrying this stuff to display these diamond-shaped placards. Each one is basically a code, a visual shorthand that tells responders right away if they're looking at something flammable or explosive or poisonous. It's the very first clue in solving the puzzle of the scene. And once a hazmat threat is identified, responders immediately set up zones to contain it. Think of it like drawing circles around the danger. The hot zone is ground zero, the contaminated area, and only highly specialized teams are going in there. The warm zone acts as a buffer, where responders get decontaminated. And finally, the cold zone is the safe area, where you'll find the command post and other support functions. It's all about drawing lines in the chaos. All right, so you've made sure the scene is as safe as it can be for you and for the incoming help. Now you have to start bringing some order to this mess. And that begins with one of the most critical actions you will take: your very first radio report. This is not a casual chat. It's a calm, clear, concise verbal snapshot of the entire incident. This report tells the dispatch center exactly what's going on and, more importantly, what you need. Is this a bus crash or a chemical spill? Are there 5 patients or are there 50? Do you need more ambulances or fire trucks or a hazmat team? This single report sets the entire massive response into motion. Now, as more help arrives, they won't just start running around randomly and doing their own thing. They'll plug into a universal framework. It's called the Incident Command System, or ICS. The best way to think of it is like the operating system for an emergency. It's the playbook that allows dozens of different agencies, fire, police, EMS, to all work together seamlessly. It ensures everyone is on the same page, all working toward the same goals. And this is exactly how ICS prevents total confusion. With a clear chain of command, everyone knows who's in charge, no conflicting orders. By using common terminology, a firefighter from one city can instantly understand what an EMT from another town is saying. This whole structure also makes sure that those critical resources, like your ambulances and rescue crews, are being used effectively and not being wasted or duplicated. Okay, so the scene is safe, command is established, and help is on the way. Now you turn to the victims. But in what we call a mass casualty incident, you are faced with a truly impossible question. With so many people injured, who gets your help first? This right here is a huge mental shift. On a normal call with one patient, you do absolutely everything you can for that one person. But here, you can't. Your new goal is to save as many lives as possible. And that means you might have to make the gut-wrenching decision to walk past someone who is very seriously injured to go save several others who have a better chance of survival. It's the brutal but necessary logic of triage. Triage is actually a French word that just means to sort. And that's what responders do. They use a really rapid system to sort patients into different priority groups based on how bad their injuries are. This sorting is then communicated visually with colored tags. Each color tells every other responder on that scene at a single glance what that patient's status is.
So let's break down the code. Red means immediate. These folks have life-threatening injuries, but they've got a shot if they get help right away. Yellow means delayed. They're seriously hurt, but they can wait a little while. Green is for the walking wounded, people with minor injuries. And black, that's for those who are already deceased or whose injuries are so severe that they simply cannot survive. So, how do you possibly make these life or death decisions in just a matter of seconds? You don't guess, you don't go with your gut, you follow a simple, repeatable system. And the most common one is called START, which stands for Simple Triage and Rapid Treatment. This flowchart, this is the heart of the START system. Now, I know it might look a little complex at first glance, but it's really just a simple decision tree. It's based on just 3 key observations: their breathing, their circulation, and their mental status. The whole goal is to move through these steps for each patient in under 60 seconds. So let's walk through it.
The very first step of START triage is the simplest one. The first responders on scene will use a loudspeaker or sometimes just their own voice, and they'll shout something like, "Anyone who can hear my voice and can walk, get up and walk over to that safe area."
See, anyone who can actually follow that command and get up and walk has to have functioning breathing, circulation, and mental status. They are immediately categorized as green or minor. This one simple step quickly clears out potentially dozens of less injured patients, which lets you focus all your attention on those who are still on the ground. For everyone still down, you move to the first physiological check: breathing. This is first because a lack of oxygen will cause irreversible brain damage in just a few minutes. If they're not breathing, you quickly try to open their airway. If they still don't start breathing, they're tagged black. If they do start breathing, or if they're already breathing way too fast, like over 30 times a minute, they're immediately tagged red. Okay, so if their breathing rate is within an acceptable range, you check for circulation, or what's called perfusion. You check for a radial pulse, right at the wrist. Now, why there? Because if the body is going into shock, it stops sending blood to the arms and legs first to protect the vital organs. So if there's no pulse at the wrist, that's a huge red flag for massive internal bleeding or shock. They get tagged red. And if their breathing and circulation seem okay, the final check is mental status. It's simple. Can they follow a command like "squeeze my hand"? This is just a super fast check for brain function. If they can't, it suggests the brain isn't getting enough oxygen and they are tagged red. If they can follow the command, their injuries are probably serious but not immediately life-threatening. They are tagged yellow. So from scene safety and incident command all the way down to the brutal calculus of triage, I think you can see the theme here. In the face of absolute, utter chaos, it's these structured, repeatable systems that allow responders to take control and ultimately to save the maximum number of lives. And the need for these systems is more critical now than ever before. As the source material for this points out, large-scale incidents, and that includes acts of terrorism, are a reality that our communities have to be prepared for. These exact same principles, ICS, triage, scene safety, they are the foundation of any effective response, whether it's a natural disaster or one that's man-made. You know, the core lesson in all of this is preparedness. First responders have a plan that they practice over and over and over again, so that when the worst happens, they don't have to think. They can just act decisively. It really leaves us with a final thought. The principles of being aware of your surroundings and having a plan, they aren't just for professionals. They can make a difference for anyone.